Salem never stays quiet for long, and this week, the storm has a name: Sophia Choi. Just when Johnny and Chanel thought they were steps away from holding baby Tessero in their arms, betrayal strikes from the shadows. Sophia, whose role in Tessero's past should have been closed, swoops back in with a vengeance. Her complaints, her lies, and her shocking accusations threaten to rip apart every dream Johnny and Chanel have fought for. But in Salem, secrets have a way of clawing their way into the light. So the question is, will Sophia succeed in destroying their future, or will her reckless scheme finally expose her as the one person who never should have had a say? Let's break it all down. For Johnny DiMera and Chanel Dupree DiMera, the path to adoption was never going to be easy. They knew that, and yet, for the first time in months, hope felt real. Their marriage had endured painful trials: Johnny's family feuds, Chanel's strained bond with her mother, the constant tug-of-war of Salem's social scene. But through it all, the dream of building a family kept them moving forward. Baby Tessero represented more than parenthood. He was redemption, stability, and the promise of a future untarnished by the mistakes of the past. The social worker visit was supposed to be the culmination of their journey. Their home was spotless, their references were ready, and their hearts were open. They even received word that approval could come as early as the following morning. For Johnny and Chanel, that night should have been filled with excitement, nerves, and joy. The kind of night where they whisper about nursery colors and lullabies, daring to believe their dream was finally within reach. But this is Salem, and in Salem, dreams are fragile. Behind the curtain of their happiness, Sophia Choi was quietly setting fire to everything they had built. Though she had abandoned Tessero at a fire station, a decision that should have severed her rights forever, her obsession never faded. To her, Tessero wasn't just a child. He was a pawn, a symbol of power she refused to relinquish. Watching Johnny and Chanel step into a role she had rejected gnawed at her. Envy hardened into resentment, and resentment morphed into something darker: revenge. That's when she struck. Sophia drafted a venomous complaint to Child Services, a letter dripping with anger and accusations. In her words, Johnny and Chanel weren't loving parents in waiting. They were dangerous, unstable, and unworthy. And just like that, the couple's golden ticket to adoption turned into a ticking time bomb. Sophia's attack wasn't reckless, it was calculated. She understood one truth about Salem: rumors gain momentum when dressed up as evidence. Words alone might not topple Johnny and Chanel, but a scandal? That was another story. Her complaint went beyond painting them as unfit. Sophia claimed she had proof of misconduct, whispering that Professor Johnny DiMera was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with one of his students. To Child Services, such an allegation was impossible to ignore. And Sophia, ever manipulative, didn't stop there. She knew a simple accusation would eventually be dismissed, so she built her case on something far more visual: photographs. Those photographs of Holly Jonas, taken in secret while the young woman was in her sleepwear, were twisted into ammunition. Sophia never cared about Holly's privacy, only about the shock those images would deliver. Attached to her complaint, they became the linchpin of her narrative: that Johnny was predatory, that his interest in young women blurred ethical lines, and that Tessero would not be safe in his care. It was vile. It was false. But it was believable enough to demand investigation. And that's where the true danger lies. Holly had spent time with Johnny. He had called her, checked on her, spoken with her in ways that, to the innocent eye, were acts of kindness. Yet to an outsider armed with Sophia's framing, those same acts became suspicious. She knew exactly how to twist them, and Child Services would be forced to consider her angle. For Johnny and Chanel, the impact was immediate and crushing. The routine inspection they had prepared for, the moment they thought would validate their readiness, was now poisoned. The social worker who might have been their advocate could arrive instead as their interrogator. Smiles would no longer reassure. Declarations of love would no longer suffice. Every word, every gesture, would be dissected. And at the center of it all sat Johnny, dragged into the hot seat by accusations as scandalous as they were false. To clear his name, he would need more than denials. He would need to fight against lies designed to look like truth. Sophia believes she has orchestrated the perfect takedown, but there's a fatal flaw in her plan. She is not nearly as invisible as she imagines. Salem is a town built on memory and whispers, and in a place where everyone watches everyone else, secrets rarely stay buried for long. Johnny DiMera, despite the pressure he's under, is not blind. He remembers their tense confrontation in the town square. The way Sophia's eyes flashed with bitterness, the way her words dripped with something far more personal than simple disapproval. That exchange lingers in his mind like an echo. And then there's the coincidence that Sophia just happened to overhear his private phone call with Holly. Coincidences in Salem are rarely accidents, they are warning signs. Could Johnny begin to realize that the very person sabotaging his future is none other than Tessero's birth mother herself? And Holly Jonas may hold the key to exposing Sophia's lies. She knows Sophia was in her dorm room. She knows those compromising photos didn't simply appear out of nowhere. If Holly finds the courage to speak, Sophia's carefully constructed facade will collapse in an instant. Instead of a concerned citizen protecting a child, she'll be revealed as a jealous, unstable saboteur who violated boundaries and crossed lines that can't be ignored. This is where the stakes sharpen. If Sophia's identity is exposed, she won't just lose the credibility of her complaint, she could lose everything. Her reputation in Salem would be shattered. The adoption agency could view her interference as a direct threat to Tessero's stability, ensuring she has no place in his future. And yet, Sophia thrives in chaos. She believes she can spin, twist, and manipulate her way out of anything. But in Salem, every deception leaves a trail, and every scheme comes with a cost. The only question is, when the truth emerges, will she survive the fallout? So where does all this leave Johnny and Chanel? For the moment, suspended in painful uncertainty. Their path to adoption, once glowing with hope, is now clouded by accusations, suspicion, and the looming possibility of rejection. Instead of preparing to cradle their child, they must brace themselves for a confrontation that could make or break their future as parents. The social worker who was expected to bring reassurance may now bring nothing but interrogation. The visit could be cancelled outright, freezing their adoption process indefinitely. Or worse, it could go forward but transform into a trial by fire, a grilling session where every detail of their lives is picked apart. Their love, their home, even their intentions will be questioned. And Johnny, at the heart of the storm, will have to defend himself against accusations as poisonous as they are false. He will insist on his innocence. He will declare that nothing inappropriate ever happened with Holly. Chanel will stand fiercely by his side, offering support and strength. But in Salem, perception can be as deadly as reality. A whisper repeated often enough becomes truth, and Johnny knows how quickly rumors can calcify into reputation. Yet Sophia's plan may already be cracking at the seams. The more she lashes out, the more desperate she appears. If Johnny recalls the venom in her words at the square, if Holly dares to reveal what really happened with those photos, Sophia's plot could implode spectacularly. And with that implosion comes an even more dangerous twist. Her secret identity as Tessero's biological mother could be dragged into the light. If that happens, the game changes entirely. Instead of undermining Johnny and Chanel, Sophia might find herself branded as unstable and unfit, giving the adoption agency even more reason to side with the DiMeras. But will that revelation end the battle, or ignite a far greater war, one that pulls the entire DiMera family into scandal and chaos? Salem thrives on battles like these, and this one is only beginning. Betrayal has been unleashed, and Salem trembles under its weight. Sophia thought her lies would be enough to rewrite Tessero's story, to rip Johnny and Chanel's future from their grasp. But in Salem, no scheme is flawless, and every villain leaves fingerprints. The photographs, the accusations, the anonymous letter, They are pieces of a puzzle that can only stay hidden for so long. And now, the clock is ticking. Will Sophia's deception succeed in poisoning the adoption process beyond repair? Or will her reckless ambition expose her as Tessero's biological mother, stripping her of the very control she craves? For Johnny and Chanel, the path ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear: their love will be tested in ways they never imagined. So I'll turn it over to you, fans. Do you believe Sophia's sabotage will ruin Johnny and Chanel's adoption dreams? Or is she on the verge of a downfall so catastrophic that she'll never recover? And most importantly, what does Tessero's future truly hold in this tangled web of lies and betrayal? Like, share, and drop your theories below. And don't forget to subscribe for more explosive Days of Our Lives updates. The secrets of Salem are only just beginning to unravel.